floodgates are open. It can't filter information anymore. Make you concentrate on one specific thing. Thus, sky's the limit. So you're now having to be challenged to put your thoughts in a, index them and put them away and only address one situation at a time. And so too many things around you could be bad for you. I mean, confusing. If you're overstimulated, then you don't have any ability to isolate it down to one or two things. Maybe when I said to put your pictures up on the wall, maybe putting up 50 of them is just too many. You're over challenging. You're going to have too much information. Maybe just one. Maybe start with one and add two and then move them to another wall. Or put up two pieces of art and add another one in, or take that one out and put another one on, and move one piece of furniture around, or change your sheets, or move the pillows around, or whatever is kind of cool, it's inspiring, but not overdone to cause you trouble. That's why we quite often like isolation. It's not so much that we don't want to engage in conversations or meeting people or endure cool experiences like outside or whatever. It's just too much information to process. So when I sit here and say I'm comfortable staying in this room and having nobody here to bother me or upset me, and I can just simply push my little button and turn the TV on, and then turn the volume down to engage in my computer and write a blog, and then when I get tired of that, then stop and look at my picture on the wall, and if I want it quiet, I can tune it all down and make myself able to accept one or two or five, eventually everything at the same time. But it's like when you first start driving. I mean, can you remember the first day when you first got behind the wheel of a car? That overwhelming thought that how do you look in front, knowing who's beside you, who's behind you, the weather conditions, the traffic light ahead, how far is a car in front of you, how far is a car behind you, should I change lanes, should I not, keep my window clear, how many times I can look at my rearview mirror, there's a stop sign coming up, I'm in a hurry, I'm not in a hurry, I'm worried about wandering outside the lines. Just keep thinking about that moment, your first time in a car, how overwhelming you were with all that information to process. But when you got in there and you drove, or somebody drove you around for a bit or whatever, you got comfortable with it, it all became second nature. And as we grow older, from a baby to an adult, everything becomes second nature, and they're not a challenge. But when something breaks that causes you to no longer see that second nature, what you knew or what we're comfortable with, dealing with all that time, is no longer there, and you're now having to rebuild guidelines or new walls or ways of talking to people and how to respond and how not to respond, how loud you should be, or how overbearing or how underbearing you should be, or thoughtful or courteous or whatever. Think about what's involved with a conversation. The person's ahead of you or in front of you. Say it's a woman. She's attractive. So you're thinking, wow, she's attractive. That's cool. I'm talking to a very attractive person. Love this. This is great. I hope that she finds me attractive. And she's got black hair and blue eyes. Wow, that's white skin and nice ears. She's wearing great jewelry. She's wearing a scarf. Her dress is awesome. She talks nice. It's a soft voice. Just picture yourself in front of a woman, and for the first time, a most beautiful one, and you've never spoken to a woman before. You'd be like in Gaga situation. You'd be like, what do I tell her? What do I say to her? I mean, yes, I want to date her. I want her to like me. Stupid things come up like, you got pretty hair. Now, if she's an experienced woman, and who's heard this from every other guy under the sun, I've got pretty hair, it'd be like, yeah, here's another deadbeat. Wait till he says next time that next sentence that I'm attractive. I know that, man. I'm super attractive. I'm a Barbie doll. I'm beautiful. What's this guy like? Well, he's stuttering and he's whatever, doesn't know what to say, doesn't know how to approach a woman, never had to before, doesn't know what's cool or how to do it, doesn't know at what point he should approach her or engage in something more personal or distance yourself or just keep the topic to a fun nature, or should I get into the personal avenue, or I mean, what's the goal of this whole thing? Should we go to the next thing, which is the next date, and do I touch my nose? Is my hair just right? Did I wear the right cologne? Am I wearing some good clothes or bad clothes? Or was I ready for this date or wasn't I? And oh my God, my hair, and I got a stain on my shirt, and she's just so beautiful, or she's ugly, or whatever the deal is. How do you respond to an ugly person? I mean, are you just going to tell her she's ugly and go away, or are you going to be, it's not like you want to marry her. She's interesting. She's got a smile on her face. She exudes some personality that is very appealing and exciting, and she's got some insight or some ability or whatever to keep the topic interesting. You want to talk to her. She's philosophical. You're enjoying the conversation. Yeah, at one point, and then it's like, well, then you don't see her so ugly anymore, and it's like, well, she's not really ugly. She's pretty cool, and she might be a little chubby or whatever, but she's interesting. And what's interesting about her? And what do I talk to her about? And so on. See, all these things are just built up from experiences from your past, and from those failures or successes, you like re-engage yourself to the next level where you're doing it now with some new tools and so on. Well, amongst the way here, when you have a brain injury, you lose some of those tools. You lose a lot of those tools, and then you're looking at yourself in a different light, where you're gimped up. I mean, you're sitting there before this beautiful woman. You never had a problem before, but now, when you used to be very confident that you were a cool-looking guy, you're muscular, you were sexy, you were normal. Now you're not. I mean, now you're gimped, your hands ripped over, or your fingers are clenched, you speak funny, you dress funny, you can't even button the buttons on your shirt, you can't communicate anymore. Everything's just a jostled bunch of words, and all of it is making you sad or anxious or upset or angry or freaking you out, or how do I present myself in a way that this person before me is not going to see me as this weirded out, gimped up, whacked out person who's speaking in 3 different tones and can't say anything else, or can't even talk about anything else but himself. I mean, it might be your favorite topic, but I suggest a Barbie doll doesn't want to talk about you. She wants to talk about her. And here you are, all you want to do is talk about yourself. And you knowing that, and you're in awe, and you can't figure it out. And that's just one scenario. It's how do you deal with your boss? How do you deal with your friend? And how do you make yourself likable? How do you tell somebody you're angry without pissing them off yourself? Or something's bothering you without sending them running into the night? What kind of emotion do you have to display? How do you say it? I mean, all these things are a huge challenge to many people. I mean, people that were great students or had IQs of 185 or whatever are now sitting there with an IQ of 30 and can't put a sentence together for a letter. If you wrote one too long, they wouldn't be able to go through it. It would be too long, and they'd get lost in the first sentence or the second sentence. And then knowing that they were very smart a while ago, now are dumb. I mean, they're not really dumb, but they don't think they're smart because they're not able to tap into what was originally those pathways that made them smart. They were wired like a computer, so they can easily remember stuff and had easy ability to access information and file it in a position where they can easily get it to regurgitate back out. Where that mechanism is now lost. And it's not like you're a computer where you can just go, hey, chip D is broken, just go put a new chip D in there and you're fixed and everything's cool. You got to do it old school, which is get a microscope up, look at the circuit, look for what's broken, find a soldering iron and some solder, and start connecting things that are broken. And these circuit boards are, they're very small. I mean, you'd have to like get a magnifying glass, like a huge one, to even have the capability of finding what the problem is to start with. I was thinking about a movie that I saw once, which was with Ben Affleck in it. I forget where he's his brain, where he can engineer things by looking at them and reverse engineer and then copy things. Whatever. I don't remember what it was exactly. But the idea was he sabotaged this project that he built, which was a machine he could see into the future. And of course, the bad dudes were, wanted him to kill him, and ultimately they control the world's dominating dealing marketplaces. And if you could see in the future and guess what the stock was going to be or whatever tomorrow, then you'd see the advantage you'd have. You can run governments and so on. So this guy put a poison pill he called it, on the circuitry, which was a little, in this case, connection, which short-circuited this whole machine, which ended up, you give it to somebody else to go find this thing, there's a problem, and as he doesn't know what the actual problem is or how it was done, he's searching all these circuit boards for this poison pill. But as he doesn't know what it is or what it looks like, or how small it is or how big it is, he can't find it. Well, that's like you're a new person now, where you've got these poison pills all over your brain, and you now have to find them and fix them. And there could be like one, or it could be like 10,000 of them. So I'm going to finish this off here because I think I got like 25 seconds here, and I'm not going to be able to engage right back into where I got with this topic. So later. Bye.